Welcome one and welcome all to SimSpeed TV this Thursday night. It is Speedway night once again, and we are going live for the Oceanic Dirt Sim Events 360 Power Series. The second season of this championship has really thrown up some surprises, some fantastic performances, and we come to round 6 at Eldora Speedway, the third last round of this championship. What a fantastic place to go for some sprint car racing. My name is Reese Gardner. Once again, joining me in the commentary box is Cameron Dance. Welcome, Cam. You took a couple weeks off there, but back for Eldora. What a place to make the return.
Absolutely. It's a pretty good place to make a return, that's for sure, especially around these high banks of Eldora. So looking forward to what's going to happen tonight. There's been a whole lot of drama in the past few weeks, so it'll be interesting to see if any tempers flare up tonight.
Indeed, the last round at Lanier certainly had race control come away with a few hard words for the drivers, and there's a little bit of controversy in the drivers' community as well, but hopefully Eldora throws up some nice clean racing tonight. Here are the championship standings. Tim Ryan leading by just under 50 points there from Harry Stewart, who came away with a podium in the feature at Lanier. Clayton Tilley also doing well there on 1,049 points. Very close for fourth between Daniel Gow and Clayton Davies.
It's very, very close in the championship, and one little slip-up is just going to mean that there's so much points lost as a result of it, with the fact that drop round's going to come into it too. So just being able to make sure you can get consistent point scores at this point, especially if you're in that bubble of where it's very, very close at the moment between the likes of third, fourth, fifth, sixth and that. So it's really going to be all about maximizing point scores from this point onward.
Absolutely, it will. Tim Ryan's going to be hoping for a really good round here tonight. Harry Stewart will be hoping to get his way towards the front, though he has said that he's not the most confident at the start of a session. So we'll see what they can do. We're in qualifying at the moment. Every driver only getting 2 laps with which to set their time for the grid. And we take a look at the number 4 going around here, Ash Hammond for JSI Racing, a 22.0 to start off his run. Be interesting to see if he can improve on that.
It certainly will be interesting to see if he can improve on it and does a 13.758 for his first flying lap. We'll see what the second lap's going to end up being, and should be hopefully a little bit quicker, but comes across the line and it's going to be an improvement to put himself up the order a little bit more.
Up into 7th, but then knocked down a bit as the times come streaming in. Alex Attard to the top on a 13.582 by 8 thousandths from Sean Stevens, who's having a great performance tonight. Joel Berkeley, though, putting himself right up to the top there on a 13.52. Mr. Berkeley has taken a couple of rounds off and has had some very bad luck, especially at Lanier in the last round. So he'll be looking to get his championship back on track here. Thomas Mitchell for Iridium Sim Sports, a 14.5 to start things off for him. Hopefully he can grab about another second or so and put himself up into that top 5. We'll have to wait and see, though. He is into the 13s, and it's a 13.626 for Thomas Mitchell. So pretty good stuff there in 10th.
Yeah, certainly a very, very reasonable lap there to put yourself inside the top 10, and it's extremely close as well, from pretty much Josh Barry all the way down to about well outside the top 20. It's separated by less than a tenth.
Indeed. Joe Daly getting his run off to a good start there, running the high line in the final couple turns to start off his hot lap. A little bit of extra momentum for him. Let's see if he can improve on that. A 13.597. Not bad at all. That is just on the verge of top 10 territory. And we've got Tim Ryan out on track as well, the championship leader for Logitech G Altus Esports. And he always likes to bring the car out in the dying seconds of the qualifying session. A 13.477. Absolutely nailing that qualifying run once again. What an incredible performance there from Tim. He gets $2.50 cold hard cash with the quick time.
Certainly a very, very good lap from Tim, as expected by the former world champion as well of the 14 stuff. So It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen tonight. But Clayton Tilley not too far off the mark, only about 2 hundredths of a second, so should be able to give Tim a little bit of a run for his money by the looks of it.
We shall have to wait and see. They're not going to be racing against each other until at least the consolations if either of them has a bad heat. It's time for the first heat of the night. Thank you very much to SRT Australia and BB7 Setups for your support of this series. Tim Ryan and Braden Miller on the front row for this one, with Tyler Bish and Joe Daly third and fourth. Jackson Delamont and Scott Reed rounding out the top six. It's Jaden Russell and Joshua Dennison on row 4, with Jason Burke and Ethan Bastian rounding out the top 10. And Ethan Bastian, I think he won't be entirely happy with that qualifying performance, and he'll be looking to work his way up the field. It's going to be a tough job, though, because, as always, Cam, the top 4 transfer straight through to the feature. You finish outside the top 4, you got to work your way through the C and B mains.
Yeah, certainly. So it's going to be very, very difficult, especially in these first few heats where it's going to be mostly one line for the most part of the races. So you've really got to make sure that if you haven't had a good qualifying, you're going to be able to try and drive around this very, very fresh track state and try and at least gain something out of it.
Absolutely. Well, now that the drivers are out there on their formation laps, we can take the opportunity to talk about the track a little bit. Eldora Speedway, very historic circuit located in Rossburg, Ohio. It's been the world epicenter of sprint car racing for quite some time, and a very interesting layout. It is fast, it is wide, and at least in the first part of the night, multiple lines may come about. Certainly when the track gets a little bit more worn in, you're going to see a bit more experimentation with lines. But on this clean track, it'll be interesting to see what kinds of routes drivers take. Do they hug the inside and take the technically faster way around the circuit, or do they stick to the top, get a bit more downforce, carry a bit more momentum in these 360 sprint cars? We're about to find out. Tim Ryan is going to lead them away with Braden Miller in second. It's a good jump from Tim Ryan as the green flag flies. Up into third goes Tyler Bish, and there's already contact. Jackson Delamont having contact made with Jaden Russell, and they're still banging wheels on the back stretch. Russell into the wall.
Yeah, massive, massive accident there for Russell, and that's going to be pretty much his heat over, and he's going to be probably starting down the back of the C main as well as a result of that. So he's going to be very, very much an angry person about that one and not going to be too happy, but it's very, very close at the moment for that final transfer spot between, just behind as well, between Scott Reed and them.
Yeah, indeed. Joe Daly is currently occupying that fourth position, but fifth between Scott Reed and Joshua Dennison. Dennison seems to be really hounding Reed at the moment. We'll see if he can get his way past. He's going for the move up the inside. Reed stays wide to let him go, but Dennison gets a little bit too much oversteer there as there's a big crash in the back. Ethan Bastian, Jason Burke, and Jackson Delamont have all come together on the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, it all stemmed as well from the contact between Delamont and Bastian as well, and unfortunately Burke being an innocent bystander in that. So more retirements out of this heat, and it's been certainly one of attrition so far.
Yeah, for sure. That's 2 incidents that we've seen so far. Jackson Delamont is very unhappy. He's disconnected from the server after being given a black flag by ODSE Race Control. Here's the onboard from Joe Daly as he tries to chase down Tyler Bish for third place here. Looks like Daly is safe for the transfer spot as the final lap begins. Tim Ryan, though, way out in front. You see the track starting to get worn in a little bit. It's not bothering Tim Ryan at all as he comes across the line to win the first heat. Braden Miller in second, with Tyler Bish third and Joe Daly in fourth. Wow. All right, so already a bit of drama to start off the night. I think I might have to take back what I said about hoping for a cleaner night this time after the carnage at Lanier. Those are the results, though, Cam.
Yeah, certainly a very, very dominant victory by Tim Ryan, Miller, Bish, and Daly, all going through to the A main through automatic transfers, and then Dennison, the only car, and Scott Reed as well, the only cars outside of those transfer spots to end up finishing the race, as well as Bastian, Burke, Delamont, and Russell, all DNFs in that heat.
Big shame for those guys, but they'll get another chance later on Heat 2, meanwhile, is headed up by Clayton Tilley with Daniel Gow alongside him. Brenton Hobson and Josh Barry share the second row. Daniel Boyd and Max Lumsden on row 3. It's Max Bevan and Matthew Gowans on the fourth row with Damien Parle and Daniel Weaver rounding out the 10-car field for this one. And, well, I think definitely that first row is going to be highly competitive because Clayton Tilley and Daniel Gow, two very talented competitors, and they can push each other very hard. But Brenton Hobson starting in third, that's a very good performance for him.
Yeah, certainly a very, very good performance for him, and he should be able to hopefully hold on to that position. He's had a little bit of bad luck in a few rounds so far, so hopefully be able to at least transfer through to the A main and get himself some nice handy points as a result.
We'll see what happens. Mr. Tilley, of course, running in second in the championship, so he'll want to grab the win in this heat and get the maximum points possible to try and aid himself in his championship battle with Tim Ryan. Yes, Tim Ryan already has heat race win points so far, but if as long as the gap doesn't extend, I'm sure Tilley's going to be happy. And remember, Tim Ryan is still technically racing with a bit of a handicap. He's still recovering from a wrist injury he sustained a couple of weeks ago. All right then, pace truck in. Mr. Tilley leading them away. Another great jump from our pole sitter, Daniel Gow, unable to respond and almost falling into the clutches of Josh Barry, who's gotten a really good jump on Brenton Hobson. Josh Barry, have a look at him coming up the inside now of Daniel Gow, going all the way to the inside wall, but has to avoid going all the way to the outside because Gow is still there. Goodness me, what great racing there for second, as now the enemies at the gate behind looking to take advantage. Hobson, Boyd and Lumsden, with also joining the party Matthew Gowans. In fact, I'd include the whole field in this battle at the moment.
Yes, everybody's in with a shot at this point, and one mistake and it's going to cause an absolute shuffle up in this field. Lumsden just brushing the wall on the way down the back straight, and he's going to have up the inside now is going to be Daniel Boyd, and Boyd's going to have Gowans for company as well, so it's all on at this little tail end of the field, and this field's almost broken into two as well.
Yes, indeed. Second, third and fourth starting to break away. That's Gow, Barry and Hobson. So at the moment, they seem to look safe. Hobson won't want to race Josh Barry too hard here because they'll start losing time to Lumsden if they're not careful. Hobson, though, probably feels that he has better pace than these guys at the moment, considering the lines he's taking as Lumsden going for the slider there on Daniel Boyd, but it doesn't work. Boyd gets the exit around the outside, swinging to the inside to try and cover off.
Yeah, very, very nice move to do the crossover and a big slide job as well. And coming from Max Bevan, not quite able to take advantage of it though, and it's going to end up slotting in behind Matthew Gowans, and it's going to come under pressure from Damien Parle as well. So it's certainly all on into the final lap of this race and this little battle pack going on.
Yeah, but have a look at second, third and fourth. Daniel Gow losing a little bit of time to Josh Barry. Brenton Hobson tries to sneak up the inside for third. It doesn't work. Clayton Tilley taking victory with Gow, Barry and Hobson finishing in that order. They will go straight on through to the feature. And a fantastic battle between Daniel Boyd and Max Lumsden there, with Max Bevan and Matthew Gowans rounding out the... Matthew Gowans taking seventh, with Bevan rounding out the top 8, and Damien Parle and Daniel Weaver rounding out the 10. All of the cars finished in that heat, so very good to see. Time for Heat 3, though. Joel Berkeley and Clayton Davies on the front row of this one. Alex Attard and Harry Stewart lining up on row 2. Thomas Mitchell and Garrett Halsey, the American, there on the third row of the grid. Cooper Dunn and Nathan Norman, 7th and 8th. And it's Ash Hammond and Blake Walsh in 9th and 10th on the grid. So Clayton Davies, he's going to be coming off of this one with some extra hope here. Joel Berkeley is a very formidable competitor, but Clayton Davies has a feature win under his belt. He took the feature win at Cedar Lake.
Yeah, so he'll be trying to hope and hopefully get another win under his belt with Davies. But that said, Joel Berkeley, like you said, is a very, very formidable and fierce competitor in these sprint cars. In fact, anything on dirt usually. So going to be one to watch, and certainly probably going to be the favourite in this heat. But we'll have to see what may or may not happen.
Yeah, Joel Berkeley coming off a supremely dominant championship win in the Big Block Modified Madness series. He certainly has those cars down pat. In sprint cars, though, at least this season, he has had a little bit of extra trouble, which he'll want to knock on the head post-haste. Interestingly, Joel Berkeley does not have a feature win at Eldora in the history of Oceanic Dirt Sim events since 2019. Let's see if he can come away with it tonight. The start is go, and Joel Berkeley doing very well, but Alex Attard getting up there with the slider on Davies, completely balks him, but Davies going for the slider right on back. It is on, and oh my goodness, Attard and Stewart making contact. Got to be very careful here. It's a very tight competition with Thomas Mitchell now working the inside. Davies with the run on the outside of Attard. That's some fantastic racing there once again.
And here comes Davies back up the inside on Attard with a big slide job in the turn one. And Davies going to end up going to the high side. Attard's going to get a little bit of a run, nearly contact between the two of them. Davies going to go to the high side, and that's going to bring fourth place Harry Stewart right into this now. Stewart and Attard going to use the high line on the way into turns 1 and 2 and get a really, really good running contact between Davies into the wall.
Oh no, goodness me. But interestingly, Davies, the only car really to have a big crash out of that. It has caused a bit of a mess up in the field though. Attard has been shuffled back into P5 at the moment with Walsh, Norman, Hammond and Dunn all chasing him. Davies has managed to get going again, but that contact he will not be happy with at all. As oh no, there is another problem there for Blake Walsh getting turned around, and he'll be right at the back there with Davies as well. It's white flag though, just about for Joel Berkeley. He is, my goodness, running the wall quite a bit there, and he's lost quite a bit of time to Harry Stewart. It could be on for the win here on the final lap. Thomas Mitchell right in it as well. It is on for fourth between Garrett Halsey and Alex Attard. This is going to be quite interesting. It looks like Joel Berkeley is going to just hold on to this one. He did run it into the wall, but Stewart taking second there, with Thomas Mitchell and Garrett Halsey all moving through. But Clayton Davies, the big loser out of all of that, he's going to be very dissatisfied with that incident.
Yeah, certainly is going to be very, very dissatisfied and not going to be too happy as well. They just now having to go through the consolation races to have to get to the A main. So he's got a lot of work ahead of him to get into that A main now.
That he is. Heat 4, though, we move straight on. Brad O'Brien and Aidan Bierlein are on the front row for this one, with Stevens and Ralph on row 2. Cameron De Bruin and Chris Nankerville starting 5th and 6th. It's going to be Jacob Dixon, Travis Parrott, and Daniel Selleck rounding out the field here. This is going to be the final heat of the night. And with one less car, you would hope that there's going to be a bit less of a chance of a big incident, but we know that's not true.
Yes, certainly. The number of cars out on track certainly doesn't mean there's going to be more or less carnage. So we'll have to see what's going to happen. But hopefully there isn't too much carnage that's going to ensue in this heat.
Well, for Brad O'Brien, he has really suffered in the last couple of rounds. The last round at Lanier, he was suffering from some technical issues and got spun around as a result of his car blinking in and out of existence in the server. It seems for the moment he's avoided that happening for this round, so hopefully there is a bit more stability for Mr. O'Brien, and we can have a good old battle with the American Aidan Bierlein. We'll see if Sean Stevens and Matthew Ralph can involve themselves in this lead battle as well, but apart from that, I think one of the drivers that jumps out to me here is Jacob Dixon. I would want to see him try to fight his way up.
Yeah, he's got some reasonable pace, does Dixon, and we've seen in the past that he seems to pedal himself all right in dirt, so we'll have to see what he can do starting from the position he is. Green flag is in the air, a very, very nice jump from the front row.
Yeah, Brad O'Brien in the bright green car gets a great start. In the yellow car, Jacob Dixon is working the inside as there's big contact in the midfield. That's Matthew Ralph that has come a cropper there, and it looks like that was contact with both Chris Nankerville and Cameron De Bruin, the teammates, playing ping pong.
not what you want to be doing, playing ping pong with your teammates and that sort of style of ping pong at least. So they're going to possibly share a few words after the race. But Dixon already making his way up through the field. He's already up into 5th at the moment and looking like he might just be able to challenge for 4th in a few laps time. So I have to keep an eye on him and see what he can do with a big slide jump on the way through turns 3 and 4. Didn't quite get the drive off the corner though to get up to De Bruin though.
Chris Nankiville's been given a blow. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Poor Jacob Dixon there. Looks like he did that to himself entirely, just feeding it into the wall. It's very easy to do at Eldora with the speed you're going at and the lines that you have to run. Oh, just getting into the wall there is Sean Stevens. He's lost a bunch of pace. That's allowed Cameron De Bruin up into 3rd place. I was just saying, De Bruin's teammate, Chris Nankiville, has been black flagged for causing that incident that unfortunately sent Matthew Ralph down through the field. We're coming up to the last couple of laps, though, and it is certainly on here for 4th place. Sean Stevens falling under massive pressure from Daniel Selleck.
Yeah, absolutely. There's massive pressure being applied at the moment, and with only 2 laps to go, it's going to be white flag this time by it's anybody's guess what's going to happen, but Stevens might just do enough to hold on with the way it's going at the moment.
Well, there is Brad O'Brien up in front. He's led all the way and takes victory in the final heat. Aidan Beerline holds on to 2nd. Cameron De Bruin making up 2 positions, from 5th to 3rd. Sean Stevens falling from 3rd to 4th, but he will get a free ticket through into the feature. Daniel Selleck just missing out there by 0.5 of a second, with Travis Parrott, Matthew Ralph, the final 2 finishers. Nankiville with a black flag, classified 2 laps down, and Jacob Dixon, the sole retirement there. That is a shame. Jacob Dixon will be kicking himself for that one. But now we go through into the C main. Jason Burke and Max Bevan on the first row for this one, with Cooper Dunn and Chris Nankiville on row 2. Jackson Delamont and Damien Parle rounding out the top 6. It's Blake Walsh starting from P7 alongside Jacob Dixon, with Jaden Russell, Daniel Weaver and Clayton Davies rounding out the grid here. There's quite a few drivers in this field that I would have expected to have made their way through the heats quite easily. Drivers like Russell, Dixon and Davies among them. But unfortunately, Cam, they have found themselves here and they have to work their way up to the top 2. So whatever way you look at it, at least one of these guys that I mentioned is going home.
Yeah, they certainly are. And obviously incidents playing a part, and the reason being that they're in the C main tonight rather than transferring straight through to the A main. So they've got a lot of work ahead of them, especially those quicker guys like Davies, Russell and Dixon, who are all starting down the back of this as well. So they've got to pass a lot of cars to get to the front of the field, and it's anybody's guess as to what they may end up encountering along the way.
Indeed, anyone's guess. Absolutely. Another 2 formation laps here before we go racing for 10 laps. In the C main, Chris Nankiville has been given a black flag. End-of-line penalty ensues for him. Excuse me. But we'll see if the likes of Clayton Davies can work their way up to the front of this field. Jason Burke is going to have an awful lot of pressure on him here.
Yeah, absolutely is. And he's going to have a lot of cars that are very, very hungry and coming towards him at a rapid rate of knots. So he's going to want to try and hold on as best as he can and just try and do his best to keep at the front of the field to get a transfer spot.
Green flag time. In comes the pace truck and Burke gets a good start. It looks like there's some technical issues for a couple of drivers further back in the field. Slotting up into 2nd, Max Bevan. 3rd is Cooper Dunn. Jaden Russell going for 4th place now. He's gotten an excellent start there, but Blake Walsh trying to get him back. Oh my goodness, that is a magnificently huge hit there. And that was, goodness me, who was that? That was Cooper Dunn. He got stuck in the wall.
Yeah, it was a massive impact there, and it was just a matter of coming across Max Bevan's nose, and unfortunately into the wall he was sent with a massive impact.
Max Bevan's been given a black flag for that. Meanwhile, Jaden Russell works his way up to the lead. Some supreme pace from the number 27 right now. Jason Burke trying to fight it here. into turns 1 and 2, but cannot keep the momentum up on the slickers just behind him. Blake Walsh had to take avoiding action and got stuck, almost stuck on the wall himself. Clayton Davies, though, oh no, that is a second big incident for Clayton Davies. He's got almost turned around. Again, he keeps going, but Damien Parle among the drivers involved in that one, and Jason Burke too.
Yeah, very, very chaotic lap of that one, with a few drivers unfortunately coming to blows with each other. Davies looks like he might be okay for damage, but I think he might be walking wounded ever so slightly. We have to see what his pace is going to be like, but a few drivers have had to tow out of that as a result.
That's a big shame there, and it looked to me like I could be wrong, but I think it might have been Burke going up the track just behind Clayton Davies and making rear quarter contact. Davies got the spin on, and that basically queued up everyone behind him. That's a big shame. Apologies if I have misidentified one or two of the drivers there. But for Jaden Russell, it is pretty dominant performance so far. He's got 2 laps to go, and he is leading by, goodness me, 2.1 seconds, but it is on for second place. This is the final transfer spot. Can Max Bevan hold on versus Chris Nankerville, who's fighting back from an end-of-line penalty and a black flag in the previous heat? Nankerville seems to have the pace on here as it is now final lap. To the inside, Nankerville goes. A little bit more fresh clay in the middle of the circuit. He gets the run on Max Bevan, and it looks like he's just going to slot ahead there as Bevan blinks in and out of existence, but he's going to get the run out of the final turn. And he got him. Max Bevan into second place and will transfer through. Oh no, actually, hold up. Max Bevan, we forgot, has been given a black flag. Despite finishing second on the circuit, he has been demoted all the way back into 6th place. So that is very painful there for Max. So Chris Nankerville, from an end-of-line penalty, is going to come through to finish second and join Jaden Russell in the B main. Jacob Dixon worked his way up to 3rd, Weaver to 4th, Davies finishing 5th despite that huge incident. Bevan, of course, with that black flag, classified 6th. Damien Parle, Blake Walsh, Jason Burke, and Cooper Dunn there, retiring, with Jackson Delamont not taking to the grid. Scott Reed is going to lead us away for the B main. Daniel Boyd alongside Alex Attard and Daniel Selleck on row 2 with Joshua Dennison and Max Lumsden 5th and 6th. Starting in 7th is going to be Nathan Norman. Travis Parrott joins him on the 4th row. Ethan Bastian and Matthew Gowans round out the top 10. It's going to be Ash Hammond and Matthew Ralph starting 11th and 12th. And then just behind them, the top 2 from our C main, Jaden Russell and Chris Nankerville. Now, the top 8 from this race transfer through into the feature, so there's a little bit less pressure on some of the drivers, but it's still going to be very hard fought, especially with the lap count being extended to 14.
There's a few more laps for those drivers down the back, the likes of Nankerville, Russell, and a few others to make their way through into transfer spots, and also meaning with 8 going through, it means there's a lot less pressure for those quicker drivers who are starting down the order to move forward as well. So while they'll still want to move as far forward as they possibly can for the A main grid, they're still going to want to at least make it into that top 8, that's for sure.
Exactly right. Well, for the pace truck, it's just a nice sedate run into the pit lane, and the field is hanging back quite a bit from the pace truck as it pulls into the pits. When will Scott Reed decide to go? Now, between turns 3 and 4, just coming up to the pit entry. It's a good start. Meanwhile, just behind from Alex Attard, he hugs the inside and might have lost a little bit of momentum there, but the exit is there for him. He continues to challenge Daniel Boyd for second, and now Reed for the lead. Goodness me, what a great run there from Alex Attard. It is all on behind for 4th place. Joshua Dennison currently in 4th, but have a look at Nathan Norman with the run around the outside.
Yeah, certainly a very, very nice run around the outside there, and everybody deciding to move up to the top side of the racetrack. There's almost 2 lines forming, some on the bottom, some in the mid, and some in the top as well, and it's 3 wide further back. Russell into the wall.
Oh no, Jaden Russell turned around and tumbling over is Ethan Bastian. That's some very heavy damage for him, and he has to retire. So another sordid night there for Ethan Bastian as it's on for the lead once again. Big slide job from Alex Attard, and just avoided making contact there. did Scott Reed. Some very good driving from both of those guys to avoid a big incident, but it's allowed Daniel Boyd and Nathan Norman to catch back up. The transfer spot is currently held by Max Lumsden, and he's making up positions here, trying to get a run on Joshua Dennison. Matthew Gowans could get in on this too.
Yeah, he certainly could get in on this as well, with the way that it's looking like it's possibly shaping up to be. And he's got himself a really good run, and nearly possibly a little bit of contact there between Gowans and Dennison. And now Gowans going to slip up the inside. Dennison going to start full back, and he's going to have Ash Hammond trying to get around the outside as well.
Well, it looks like with that lunge into turn 3, Matthew Gowans is going to hold on to it. Dennison, meanwhile, is dropping like a fly. Ash Hammond has made his way past him. Matthew Ralph also getting a good run around the outside. It seems Joshua Dennison is stuck down there on the inside, and there's nothing he can do to stymie the run from everyone around him. Alex Attard is extending the lead out the front, though, and leaving Scott Reed in his dust as we check out Matthew Gowans once again. Just behind him, Ash Hammond. Look at the run from Ash Hammond on the exit of the turn. He holds on to 8th and then gets up to 7th ever so briefly, but has to trade 7th place back. Matthew Ralph going for it. Here we go. Matthew Ralph up into the transfer spot. Some great racing. What can Matthew Gowans do here to hold off Matthew Ralph? It seems not much, because Ralph, with a bit of oversteer, sticking to the inside.
He's getting massively loose. There was Ralph from getting in the slick, and he's going to nearly have it happen again. Nearly a little bit of contact as well. Big slide job on the way into turn 1, but Hammond going to drive it straight back underneath him on the way out of turn 2 and get a massive run. And now Gowan's going to try and come back at Ralph here as well.
Oh, good run from Matthew Gowans there on Matthew. Ralph gets the slider done into turns 1 and 2, but Ralph gets him back as, my goodness, where did Jaden Russell come from? He is starting to challenge here for the final spot in the top 8. He doesn't have time left, though, because it's final lap at the moment. Everything could change here, and oh my goodness, Jaden Russell gets into the wall, and that is that run completely gone. Meanwhile, up the front, Alex Attard winning with Scott Reed in 2nd, Norman 3rd, Boyd 4th, Lumsden 5th, Selleck, Hammond and Gowans rounding out the top 8 there. Matthew Ralph was just not able to get it done.
Yeah, he came so close and nearly set the run up off the corner, but just didn't quite get enough drive in the end, and is unfortunately going to be packing it up and heading off tonight, unfortunately, a little bit too early in the end.
Well, that is a big shame there for a lot of drivers, but I think Alex Attard can be very satisfied with that one, as will everyone in the top 8. They all get through into the feature, but everyone behind them, starting from Matthew Ralph, is unfortunately going to have to go home, with Jaden Russell, Travis Parrott and Ethan Bastian, your 3 retirements from this one. It is time for the run for pole position, and we always do something interesting here in the 360 Power Series. It looks like it's going to be a pole dash for this particular round here at Eldora Speedway. And we're already off to a start here. Leading the way into turn 1, Tim Ryan, Joel Berkeley just trying his best to keep himself in there, but it's 3 wide with Tilly and O'Brien. Oh, Tilly gets into the wall. He gets into, oh my goodness, getting shuffled to the back there with Braden Miller. That's a big shame there for him.
And Joel Berkeley now into 2nd place as a result of what's happened there, and Brad O'Brien 3rd, Daniel Gow 4th as well, so it's very close. I think Berkeley just hit the wall on the inside of turn 1 as well, and he's now dropped in behind Daniel Gow to now be in 4th place. Gow now up in the 3rd, Brad O'Brien in 2nd, and trying to hunt down Tim Ryan.
Well, the 4th lap of the 6th lap pole dash begins, and Tim Ryan is holding on very well to his run at pole position here, but can Brad O'Brien stick it to him? Between Joel Berkeley and Daniel Gow, it is incredibly tense as Gow gets the run round the outside and manages to seal off the run from Joel Berkeley. He's fallen back into the clutches of Aidan Beerline and Harry Stewart. The number 77 starting to really challenge the number 98 here up at the front of the field. Oh, just getting into the wall is Tim Ryan on the last lap. That might give an inkling of a run to Brad O'Brien, almost side by side into the last corner, but Ryan covers him off very nicely and is going to come across the line to win the pole dash and grab himself pole position for the feature here tonight.
Yeah, another perfect night so far for Tim Ryan, qualifying on pole with a quick time, and then obviously his heat win and win in the dash as well. So far so good, and it's looking like he's going to be adding another lot of points to his tally.
Indeed he will. Well, it's going to be 30 green flag laps for the feature here at Eldora. I'm really looking forward to seeing how things work out here with cautions now in play. We've seen quite a few incidents throughout the heats and the consolations, but will we see any big incidents here in the feature? We got 24 cars on track, and they'll all be vying for a spot there in that top 10, and the guys further up the front will be hoping to challenge Tim Ryan for the feature. A very brief break here on SimSpeed TV before we come back to you for the 30-lap feature here at Eldora Speedway, round 5 of the Oceanic Dirt Sim Events 360 Power Series. Round 6, sorry.
Are you new to sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But getting faster on track is easier than you think. VRS coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRacing roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.
You're watching the Oceanic Dirt Sim Events 360 Power Series. Thank you very much to Virtual Racing School, a big supporter of us here at SimSpeed TV. They are our replay sponsor. But of course, we can't take away from the prize money for this race, for this series, provided by our very worthy supporters from the Dirt Sprints Car Championship Series and BB7 setups. First place is going to get $30 cold hard cash at the end of the night here, thanks to DSCCS with an extra $10 on top of the $20 provided by the league, $17.50 and $12.50 for second and third respectively. Everyone up to 10th place is going to get some form of prize money here tonight. We'll see who finishes where. But for the start, it's going to be Tim Ryan on pole. Brad O'Brien is going to be starting alongside him. But of course, the way that you see these guys lining up on the grid here is not how they're going to be starting. We're going to have a little bit of rearranging to do, but from behind, it's going to be Tyler Bish, Josh Barry, rounding out the top 10 here, with Thomas Mitchell and Cameron De Bruyne in 11th and 12th. Starting out of 13th and 14th is going to be Joe Daly and Brenton Hobson, with Garrett Halsey and Sean Stevens sharing the 8th row of the grid. Alex Attard and Scott Reed in 17th and 18th. Rounding out the top 20, Nathan Norman and Daniel Boyd. And then rounding out our 24-car grid is going to be Lumsden, Selleck, Hammond and Gowans, the last 4 of our top 8 from the B main. Well, Cam, 30 laps incoming here at Eldora, and I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we can get some clean racing and we can go green for the majority of this feature, but there's certainly going to be some very, very competitive drivers all trying to get into a very good position and trying to hunt down Tim Ryan as well. So we'll see what's going to happen there. If Tim can hold on to steal another feature win, or whether someone else is going to be able to step up to the plate, the likes of Berkeley, O'Brien, Gow, Stewart, all drivers who can possibly take it to him and take this win off him.
We shall see. Lap 0 of 30 will soon turn into lap 1 of 30 as the pace truck comes in and Tim Ryan gets the jump off the start. Green flag, we are racing at Eldora for the A-main. Immediately to the top line goes Tim Ryan. To the very bottom goes Brad O'Brien, really starting to challenge. It looks like he's done a couple of things with the setup there to get it to turn nicely on the bottom. It hasn't worked out for him going up to the top, though. Ryan just takes it right back. Meanwhile, between Daniel Gow and Joel Berkeley, it is a big fight for third and fourth place with Aidan Beerline really getting in on the action. The top 5 starting to break away.
Yeah, certainly all starting to form a little bit of a breakaway at the moment as Gow up the inside of it. Joel Berkeley nearly going to make it 3 wide as Brad O'Brien, and Berkeley is going to have Beerline for company as well as he's sticking to the bottom as Daniel Gow trying to be the outsider of everybody else who's running the top side of the racetrack. Now Brad O'Brien drops down to the bottom side of the racetrack and so does Beerline. So starting to see a little bit of a pattern that bottom side might just have enough in it at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like it might. There's a very thin strip of fresh clay down at the bottom in turns 3 and 4. It's a bit wider in 1 and 2, which is why you're seeing Brad O'Brien going all the way down there at the moment. As we take a look at Joel Berkeley really working the top, there's still a very thin strip of the cushion right up at the top there. Berkeley's going to have to be careful of feeding the right rear to the wall. Almost makes it 3 wide again with O'Brien and Gow, with Beerline continuing to really challenge here. Some fantastic racing further up the top of the field. Harry Stewart is starting to get in on this as well.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's all over the back of Daniel Gow at the moment. It's a big slide job in the background from Clayton Tilley and nearly end up wiping out Harry Stewart in the process. Beerline slides on through past Tilley, but now it's side by side just in front of them. Gow and Stewart side by side. Gow's going to have the momentum on the side, running the outside line on the exit of turn 4, now challenging Berkeley on the bottom side of the racetrack.
You briefly saw the camera focusing on the 53 of Alex Attard before, and there's a reason for that. He's been working his way up the field gradually. He is up into 11th place now, +6 from where he started. And have a look at this. Oh my goodness, the caution is out. It looks like there's been an incident out on track, and Nathan Norman has been involved.
Not quite sure what's happened there, but he's ended up having to tow back to pit lane by the looks of it. So he's had quite a moment there by the looks of it, and we'll find out on the Victory Racing School replay.
We certainly will. It looks like Norman just lost some momentum on the slick up at the top in turns 3 and 4. Brenton Hobson, just minding his own business there up the top, ended up getting into him and spinning him around. Hobson also coming a cropper from that one. There is the incident. It's just a shame there. I don't think there was much that Hobson could have done other than back out, because there wasn't much room on the inside to take evasive action.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't, and even then going to the inside wouldn't have exactly possibly saved him either, with the fact that these things don't exactly turn right too well. So it would have been one of those things where you've just got to go on instinct rather than what you think is the best possible option. So lucky for Hobson managed to still continue on with that one, but unfortunately not so much for Norman.
Yeah, it's a real big shame there for Nathan Norman. He was working his way up pretty well there, but forced to retire from this one. We've completed 9 green flag laps so far, which is good to see. And Tim Ryan taking the inside now for the restart as they form back up. So we are 1 down. We have 22 cars still out there on track. Tim Ryan really pushing Brad O'Brien to the very top. It's going to be on for the podium as the restart begins. Tim Ryan across the line leading, with Brad O'Brien immediately going defensive versus Daniel Gow. Gow gets into the inside wall and loses a bit of momentum, which allows Joel Berkeley to sweep around to take third. And Gow is starting to slip back into Beerline, Stewart and Tilley. Stewart and Tilley having their own rollicking battle at the moment as it's side by side just behind them between Tyler Bish and Alex Attard. Attard losing momentum in the middle of the circuit, but he wants to break into that top 10.
Yeah, he certainly does, and it's quite the flurry further back in the field at the moment with all sorts of drivers getting involved in battles. You got them all running different lines as well, and each to their own as to what's making it work, but it's certainly all on back at the front of the field as Berkeley and O'Brien going at it. Berkeley's in the fence!
Oh no. Okay, so wondering if there's going to be a word from race control about that one. It was poorly executed slider there from Brad O'Brien. He just went straight up the track and into Berkeley, and unfortunately there was nothing that the ensuing pack could do. Virtual Racing School replay of that one, and I think that is a slam dunk black flag there for Brad O'Brien, trying to get his way past Joel Berkeley, but putting him into the wall. And drivers behind like Daniel Gow and Aidan Beerline simply could do nothing to avoid that.
Yeah, they really couldn't. And you can see Berkeley trying to get around the outside, but O'Brien coming up a little bit too much. And as a result, Berkeley's come off second best. And then Gow, with nowhere to go, just plow straight on in, unfortunately, and barely making contact with a few other cars in the process.
Yeah, huge shame for Mr. Berkeley in particular. He was looking to come away with another good result after getting a podium at Lanier. But he's going to have to wait another round or so to make his way back up to the top three. So, licking his wounds for the time being. However, he does know that he's not quite in contention for the championship, so at least he can have that to console him. He won't be losing all that much, but he'd still want to get some good results out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You always strive for good results regardless of whether you're in the championship or not at the end of the day. So a little bit of a shame that he's ended up having to go to the back of the field. He's still out on track as well. He's not in pit lane, so might be able to salvage something out of this and get a handful of points, but nevertheless, he's not going to be back at the front of the field like he was, and he'll have a lot of work to do as a result.
Well then, restart time, second restart of the night. Tim Ryan gets the jump, and Brad O'Brien unable to quite get a good run. He's going to challenge him for second though, but Daniel Gow is licking his own wounds from the incident between O'Brien and Berkeley, really starting to push it. Harry Stewart had a go there at second, but the track is so slick at the moment. There's just no grip out there. Everyone is struggling to keep their cars pointed straight. And I'm interested to see that there hasn't been any action from the stewards over the incident between Brad O'Brien and Joel Berkeley. I think they might have just elected to leave it for now as this contact between Daniel Gow and Clayton Tilley. Gow was trying to slide his way up through the pack, and slight contact with Harry Stewart. Oh my goodness, there's a crash in the background. There was 4 wide, but Clayton Tilley and Alex Attard have come together.
And Attard's stuck on his side as well, so he's going to have to tow it back to pit lane, unfortunately, and no real fault of his own there either. As you can see, it was just an absolute melee going on, and 4 wide, never really going to work when you're all that close together.
It looks like Daniel Boyd there in the blue, black and white machine was also involved in that incident between Tilley and Attard. So we'll see if there's any action with regards to that. Clayton Tilley's chat has been disabled, so apparently he has had some choice words about that particular incident. And there you see Daniel Boyd's part in that incident. It remains to be seen what, if anything, will be done about it. But we've come up to half race distance now, and we're at 3 cautions. We'll see how many more there are to the end.
Yeah, hopefully not too many more to the end. Hopefully going to get 1 or 2 at least, or even if we can get a green flag run to the end, it would be even better. But late cautions, so we'll see what's going to happen here. Is it's possibly going to fluster a few drivers here, being that they're going to do 1 more pace lap.
Yeah, evidently the stewards need a little bit more time to make sure of something, or give the drivers a little bit of extra time to form up. It seems that there's a big gap in the midfield on the top row, so I'm not too sure what the go is there. Looks like they're forming up properly now, though. So Tim Ryan will once again lead them away with 1 more lap here behind the pace truck. And we haven't talked much about Tim Ryan, and there's a reason for that. He's just rocketed away into the lead on every restart, and he's been gapping these drivers once the race has really gotten into a rhythm. And Tim Ryan, always very comfortable up in P1. We'll see if he can hold on to it again coming off of this restart, or if Brad O'Brien can finally bring a good challenge to him. All the way up to the top of the racetrack as the pace car comes in, and Ryan leads them away on the restart. Another good run, but Brad O'Brien is closer to him on that restart than he has been in a while, and sticks to the top line, trying to follow the championship leader. That is a really good restart from Brad O'Brien, and goes for the slider for the race lead. Will Ryan see him coming? Whoa! Brad O'Brien just leaving him a little bit of room there as there's another crash in the back. The caution has come out once again.
I'm not quite sure who that was involving. I think Selleck and Bish possibly, but not entirely sure what happened there.
It was Tyler Bish getting into the back of Daniel Gow there, coming through turns 3 and 4. Here is the Virtual Racing School replay. Looks like Gow just getting a little bit of oversteer up at the top, and Bish just getting straight into him. So that created a big crush in the middle of the field, and oh my goodness, the number 41 there getting a bit of a return serve from the number 3.
Yeah, it was so slight serve and ending up into the wall as a result. Unfortunately, I'd say that car's probably going to be very, very wounded after that sort of impact with the wall, but we'll see what's going to happen as this race goes on.
So retirement count, Joel Berkeley, Alex Attard and Nathan Norman in the pits at the moment. I remember you did mention, Cam, that after his big crash with Brad O'Brien, Joel Berkeley was still out on the circuit, but evidently he's elected to pull that thing in. I think there might be something a little bit askew with the suspension of his car. So Joel Berkeley will live to fight another day, hopefully. For Tim Ryan, though, it's going to be a single file restart this time because we had back-to-back cautions. That is in the ODSE rulebook, and Ryan will try his best to lead them away here to the inside, and getting a good run, a very good jump. Brad O'Brien wasn't able to respond there, and have a look up the inside. Thomas Mitchell trying for second.
He is trying for second at the moment. Whether he's going to be able to try and make it happen and work, though, is anyone's guess. But that bottom side still seems to have a little bit of life in it at the moment. Not bad of a drive off turn 4 as well. So that bottom side might just be able to work for him for a little bit longer. But Beerline and Stewart are right there and waiting to pounce on him around the outside, right up against the outside fence. As Beerline is going to nearly drive around Mitchell on the way out of turn 4. He's going to have momentum on his side through turn 2, but gets a little bit loose on the exit of 2. Nearly contact, but still side by side.
Excellent job here from Aidan Beerline, really challenging for third now, and he secures the position as they all swap to the outside line. On the inside, Garrett Halsey and Daniel Boyd are battling hard for 7th and 8th position. Goodness me, to the inside again for Thomas Mitchell, and Aidan Beerline is starting to put some pressure here on Brad O'Brien as Tim Ryan is starting to skip away out in front.
He certainly is, but there is some conjecture as to whether he is going to be fine on fuel, as we've had reports that he might just be a little bit too low at the moment, so he might have to do a little bit of fuel saving later on in this race with a few laps to go. He hasn't let off yet, so we'll see what's going to happen, but Brad O'Brien and Aidan Beerline certainly going at it at the moment.
Fantastic battle for second on back. O'Brien along with Beerline, Stewart, Tilley and Mitchell. Clayton Tilley in the number 51 down on the inside. The number 13 of Aidan Beerline sticking to the top. And it looks like Tilley, the car isn't looking too wayward down there on the bottom, but you see him swapping to the top there. He's trying a couple of different things here in this transitionary stage of the grip of the track. Harry Stewart getting a poor run there. Looked like he might have banged the outside wall and given the door to Tilley.
Yeah, it did look like that might have just been the case, and no harm, no foul by the looks of it, as they're still going and we're still under green. So not many laps to go at this stage. Daniel Gow trying to recover, though, down the order at the moment, just inside the top 10. Has his hands full with Sean Stevens and missing his front wing as well. So that's not going to be helping that car get through the corners all too well. But Tim Ryan still leading this race, still running the top side of the track. So we'll see what's going to happen in these last few laps as to whether he's going to dive down to the bottom or possibly start to let off to save a bit of fuel. But Brad O'Brien is certainly not letting him get away at all.
Tim Ryan's going to come across the line and make it 3 laps to go here at Eldora, and the dust is incredible. The drivers, of course, not as hugely affected by it as it might seem from the outside, as Beerline tries on O'Brien for second. Ultimately doesn't work out for him. Just doesn't seem like there's any grip down there on the bottom at the moment. 2 laps to go now for our race leader and championship leader. And Beerline starting to fall under pressure from Harry Stewart now for 3rd place. Stewart goes to the bottom and tries to get the slider done here on Beerline. Oh, Beerline scythes back through to retake 3rd place. What a fantastic battle in the final few laps, as looks like we have a checkered flag. It is Tim Ryan, Brad O'Brien, and Aidan Beerline, your top 3. What a great race.
Yeah, it certainly ended up being not too bad in the end. A little bit of a shame for Brad O'Brien, who couldn't quite get up to Tim Ryan and managed to gap Beerline in the end, but certainly a very, very good race from the top 3 in general.
Wow. Whoa. Got to catch my breath there. Fantastic performance from Tim Ryan, as per usual. I mean, I can't quite believe the dominance that he exhibited there in that feature. He wasn't in trouble for the lead at all. And fair play to Brad O'Brien, despite the incident with Joel Berkeley, still putting on a great performance. Aidan Beerline working his way up to 3rd place from 8th. So I think a very good performance from the American there.
Yeah, certainly a very, very good performance in the end to end up where he did, especially from how far back down the order he started. So he'll be very, very happy with that, and to come away with a nice haul of points as well, all things considered.
Well, here we go then. We've gone through that top 3, and now we're going to get a chance to speak to them. First up is going to be, of course, our feature winner, Tim Ryan. Congrats, Tim. It looked like a pretty dominant performance from the outside, but what was it like from inside the cockpit?
Yeah, the hardest thing was the restarts. Brad was doing some pretty aggressive sliders, and the track just really slows up through the night, so you can throw them from quite a long way back. And then with about 15 to go, I realised I was a lap short on fuel, so that whole last stint I was just fuel saving. I could have pulled out probably quite a big margin, but only had 0.2 of a gallon as I crossed the line. So yeah, it was definitely tight, and had a lot better pace than I showed in that final stint. But obviously was trying to drive to a fuel number that was very tight.
Yeah, we heard about that, so looks like you were right, Cam, and the rumours were true. Tim Ryan was struggling for fuel. But still, again, that is some more championship points on the table for you, and it looks like you're going to be extending that championship lead with Clayton Tilley, unfortunately coming away with a bit of a poor result.
Yeah, a few people had a tough night tonight. It is pretty hard, especially like once you have a bad incident to get your way through. Obviously, the experience level in this league is right from the bottom to the top. So coming through, if you have a bad heat race, can be quite difficult, and definitely a lot of luck. So obviously, you just got to qualify well, heat race well, and try and keep the nose clean.
Well, keep the nose clean you certainly did. From the top step of the podium, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, Tim?
Yeah, you guys have put on the broadcast, Brady for the league. There's obviously a bit of tension going on at the moment with the league, but hopefully it stays on. It is a really good league, and obviously you guys put a fantastic broadcast on, so it's really good for the community. And yeah, I'd like to thank the team, Logitech G, ODSE Esports, our partners, Logitech G, Astro Gaming, VRS, and Race Tech Seats. Thanks, boys.
Tim Ryan, feature winner at Eldora, extending his championship lead. Next up is going to be our 2nd place finisher, Brad O'Brien. The number 77 stood by with Cameron Dance.
Yeah, not too bad of a night in the end. You couldn't quite get to Tim Ryan, but still a podium finish is very, very good nevertheless.
Yeah, happy with that. I think there's 5 laps there where I was probably quick enough to get to the back of him, but grabbed the wall, and I think it would have been pretty difficult to get past him anyway. So yeah, I'll settle for 2nd.
Now, just the way the track ended up eventually becoming quite difficult from what we can gather, and everybody was sort of struggling for traction for the most part. Were you finding that it was quite difficult to get power down at all, or were you just more or less running the same sort of line that Tim was and sort of using that to your advantage?
No, I think I was changing my lineup a little bit from Tim. I think he was entering a little bit lower than I was and just sort of rolling through the slick a bit, and I was just trying to lick the fence down to try and get to the back of him. But this is Eldora. Tim was probably just on cruise control anyway. Just making sure he kept it out of the fence. So, yeah, it wasn't as bad as what I've been on with Eldora. So that was pretty good.
Well, 2 rounds left in the championship. Kokomo up next, and Charlotte for the final round. Looking forward to the middle.
Looking forward to Kokomo. I always seem to qualify really good at Charlotte, and then never really can convert in the heat. So, yeah, I think I'll be better at a short track than what I will be at Charlotte.
Shout out to sponsors. Who gets it done for you guys?
Yeah, got to thank all the boys on OBR, and especially Braden there for spotting me. I think I have to apologise for Joel. I thought that move was on. I'll go back and have a look at the replay before I comment too much more on it, and yeah, incriminate myself or whatever. But yeah, sorry for how his race ended, and yeah, just all the boys at OBR, Sick Lids, Six Sims, Lawrence and Hanson, CD, Simtography, everyone for watching, and yeah, obviously you guys for broadcasting, and Brady for putting the league on.
Hope to see you next week, and hopefully back on the podium. Reasonably happy, Brad O'Brien there, and I believe you are going to be standing by with our P3 finisher.
I am indeed. Slightly messed up the dragging drivers in and out there, but we do have Aiden Beerline with us. Aiden, it's another podium for you in an A-main this season, and a reasonably quiet night for you before the feature. 2nd place in Heat 4, 6th place start for the feature, but working your way up to 3rd.
Yeah, I knew I was going to have a car in the long run. I just needed to survive until then, and we did. I was able to come home in a 3rd place finish.
Well, speaking of survival, there was certainly a case of survival out there on track, especially as it slicked up. I mean, what kind of experimentation with lines were you doing, if any?
I kind of found a groove up early on in 1 and 2, which no one was running. I think that helped me gain a few spots early on, and then just ran the same line everyone else was running 3 and 4, and then by the end of the night, we were just, banging the boards down like we normally do here at Eldora.
And speaking of Eldora, your thoughts on the track? I mean, obviously, it's a very historic place for sprint car racing, a very popular track, both in real life and in sim racing. What's your personal experience of it?
I normally do good here in other leagues, and it's never been one of my worst. Definitely hasn't been one of my best either, though, so it's one of those in-between tracks for me.
Well, still, a 3rd place finish and some more championship points on the board for you. Before we let you go, Aiden, anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to?
First off, I'd like to thank Jesus Christ, my mom, my dad, Flexion Chemistry, Extreme House Buyers, Dave's Truck Service, Beerline Trucking, and you all for putting on a great show, and Brad and Tim for getting top 3s.
Aiden Beerline, 3rd place in the feature. Thank you very much for joining us, especially at what must be a very early hour of the morning for you. Meanwhile, well, Cam, we move on to Kokomo next week for the 7th round of the championship, from a very wide open and fast track to a very tight and slow one.
Yeah, we head to the bull ring next week for what's going to hopefully be some really good racing. We've seen in the past that it can be a little bit messy, but at the same time, we've seen some really awesome racing there. So looking forward to it and seeing what it's possibly going to hold for us.
Indeed, Kokomo, incredibly tight, incredibly slow, and it's put on some really interesting races in the past and very quick lap times as well. We hope that you can join us for round 7 of the series next week, next Thursday night, here on SimSpeed TV live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter as well. I'm Reese Gardner, Jay Kennedy working the cameras, and Cameron Dance alongside me in the commentary box. From all of us here at SimSpeed TV, we thank SRT Australia and Oceanic Dirt Sim Events for putting this series on, and we hope to see you next time.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got really both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh my God.
Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get full.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go.
Oh no.
That's massive. This is it. This is
over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?